Hello and welcome. My name is Josie. If we haven't met before, I am a stay-at-home mom to a 2-year-old, and we live in Indiana. My husband and I, my son. I have this channel all about mostly knitting, but all about crafting. I love crafting. I love making things for myself, my home, friends, family, and this is a channel to share those projects, to share that journey with other makers and crafters. So today I have knitting, some weaving, and dyeing. And we'll start with a finished object, knitting finished object, which I don't have with me. It was a birthday gift to my dad. He turned 60 this year, which is so exciting, celebrating many beautiful years that he's had. But we got to celebrate last weekend, and I knitted him the Nitty Natty simple, I can't remember the pattern name, but I will put a picture up of the pattern, and then I'll also put a picture up of my dad using the little can cozy thing. I used scrap yarn. It was the first hand-dyed yarn I have ever purchased as a knitter. I purchased it in 2020, and I knit a pair of socks and then had some leftovers, and I used that to knit my dad his cozy for his bubblies that he really enjoys drinking. And it was super fun. It was super easy. The pattern was great. I've knitted her Nitty Natty's yarn cozy before, and it was very similar. The pattern does show you how to do stripes. It walks you through how to do stripes and contrast I-cord, but I just did all in color, and he really likes it. And I had to block it before I gifted it to him, because it needed to be blocked because it was so scrunched in. If I would have given it to him, he would have been like, what is this? It was so scrunched in. But after blocking and I put it in a little bubbly that can, he really liked it. So I knitted one of those in 2 or 3 days. It was super fast. It was really fun. That's my only finished object for this podcast. And I have 2 knitting whips. So I'll start with the one that I've made the least amount of progress on, which is my Ranunculus. It's the second Ranunculus that I have knitted. This one's for my mom for her birthday, which is mid-April. So I have plenty of time. Let's see. I'm using Cascade 220 in the color Walnut Heather, and then I'm pairing it with a Berroco Aerial 6535 mohair silk, and the color's 3416. I believe the color was called Birch online, but I'll link them down below. The reason that I have not made a lot of progress with this is because I've been working on my other sweater to try and get that done before some exciting things, which I'll tell you about when I talk about that. But this has been super fun. I got to... It's a pretty true to life color too of what it looks like. I think I'm blown out right now, but I think this is an accurate color. But yes, so I was here last time. I put this stitch marker on to show where I was last podcast. And what I did was I had to increase, I think I talked about this last time, but I need to do more raglan increases for it to fit my mom comfortably. And so I did that, and I knitted maybe 1.5 inches. And I wanted her to try it on to make sure she was happy with the fit. And so we did, and she likes it. So it's kind of on hold now until I finish the other project. But so it's good. I'm comfortable moving forward, knowing that, confident in the modifications that I made to fit her, that it'll fit well. So yeah, nothing too much to update there, because I've been working on my Harlow V-neck sweater. I still love this yarn combination, the Cascade 220 and the Berroco Aerial. It's been a dream, and I love it so much more than the Harlow sweater yarn that I'm using, but I just want this project faster. So let me show you what I've done. I'm using, for the Harlow Sweater V-Neck by Kadri, I am using Knitting for Olive Heavy Merino in the Hazel colorway. And I'm knitting the smallest size. Okay, I'm gonna take, these are little stoppers that I have on, but for the ribbing, they're too big. They fit the stockinette portion, but the ribbing's too big. So I am at the hem. Uh-oh, something just fell off. Stitch marker. So I'm at the hem. Let me hold this up so you can actually see. I have a stitch marker in for where I was last time. So yeah, I've made some good progress in 2 weeks. Considering I don't love working with this yarn, I'm just really excited to have it. And I have about 1.25 inches left for the front hem, and then we'll do the back hem. And the back hem I think is a 1/2 inch longer, called for in the pattern. But yeah, still not enjoying knitting with this yarn. It's still very dry running through my hands, and it's just not very enjoyable. I hope that I enjoy the fabric when I'm like actually wearing it, but only time will tell. So my husband and I anniversary is coming up early April. Our tradition, I guess, has been to do a little trip every year, take a little 2 to 3 day trip, and we're going mid-April, and so I want to have this done before our trip, which is why I have been prioritizing it and not really going back and forth, but just prioritizing this. Last year, if you had watched my podcast for a while, I sewed a skirt for our anniversary trip, and I thought it would be super fun to have another special garment, one that I feel like pretty in for this trip, although at the rate that the weather is turning in the Midwest and Indiana, it may be too warm to wear like 100% wool worsted weight sweater. But we'll see. I'll have it, if anything, to keep it cozy in our Airbnb. But I'm hoping to have this done in a little less than a month, which I think I can do. I'm already at the hem, just have the back hem, and then the sleeves, because it's drop shoulder, they're like so short. So there's good promise, but I want to prioritize it before I jump back into working on my mom's sweater. So I think that's all. Not too much new information about it. Love the pattern writing so far, just not the yarn. Okay, those are my 2 knitting whips. Should we talk about weaving or dyeing next? Probably weaving, since it's right here. So I've talked about this in a few of my last episodes, but I am weaving a pattern by Liz Gipson in her Weaving Made Easy book, weaving these ones right here. So instead of the purple, or instead of the blue and the teal, I'm doing a variegated yarn, which I'll show you in a second, and then the purple is a green. So I don't have 3 colors, I just have 2 for the warp yarns. Here it is. Okay, yeah, you can see it. So it's way more variegated than her pattern. I just have this much. This is my waist yarn, so I've done 4 inches probably. The yarn, the warp yarn is Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton, and it is dreamy. It is so soft, the softest cotton yarn that I have experienced. It almost feels like an acrylic yarn, like that soft. I really want to make something. I have leftover yarn with it, so I'm like, I wonder if I could make anything. I have a few friends that are pregnant and thinking maybe I could make them, like, buy this yarn and make them a baby garment, because I just want to knit with it. I want to see how it feels in my hands to knit with, because I've knitted with, like a Lily Sugar and Cream cotton yarn, and that's not enjoyable to knit with. So I wonder if this being a lot softer, if that would be more enjoyable. Anyway, I digress. So this is Hobby Lobby. I love this cotton yarn in the woods and olive, I think, colorways, and they're very speckled. Well, just the natural one is very speckled, and then the blue, the green is solid. The pattern, I was having some issues with the pattern. Before I get into the pattern, the weft yarn I'm using is a, the weft yarn I'm using is a natural, I forget the name of it. I'll leave it down below, I'll write it on the screen. But it's very thin. It's 8/2 cotton, so it's very thin. So weaving or warping with the worsted weight cotton, weaving with a 8/2 cotton, and in her book, she explains that this will make a very drapey fabric. So I'm excited to see. I was having issues warping with this pattern because it calls for like 6 stripes of this color and then 3 stripes of the green and, the small color, and then 6. I think it's 6. Yeah, 6. And then 3 and 6 and 3. And I was just completely confused on how to warp an odd number of strands, because every time you warp, you're wrapping around the pole, you get 2. So if I wrapped once, I'd get 2 strands. If I wrapped twice, I'd get 4 strands. So how do I get 3? I was so confused. I actually emailed her. I got on her website and I emailed her because I was so lost. And she emailed me back. Like, how amazing that I just bought her book. No, I didn't even buy it. It was a gift, probably from Amazon. I don't have any weaving friends. And I was able to email her and she emailed back. How wonderful is that? That just made my day when I saw her email. I did not expect it. Basically, she just linked me to a blog post on her website that explained a little bit more how I could divvy up the stripes. But I just decided to do my own thing, and instead I went, like, this stripe would have 2, this one has 4. So I'd still get like the number 12 in the repeat, and then I did 2, 4, 2, 4. So it doesn't look like her pattern at all. Her pattern has, the 3 stripes. The stripes are even. Mine are 2, 4, 2, 4, 2, 4. But it works, like, count-wise. So I'm having so much fun weaving this. This was really fun. Once I got over the hurdle of putting the warp on, it's been really fun to weave. So yeah, that's been a fun weaving project. And I'm excited to have them. The colors don't look exactly how I imagined, but that's okay. It's just hand towels. So it'll be fun though to have them and to have made them, and it'll be fun. So my last whip is dyeing. My camera died, so I hope I'm in the same position. But 15 minutes later, I'm back and ready to talk about my hand-dyed yarn. So I was showing you the colors that I showed last time. So, like, out of all of these were just kind of experimenting with the powder, the acid dye powders that I got to see their medium depth of shade. So we got this one and this one and this one. And then I was trying to mess around with the more magenta to get a light pink. Let me look here. So this one was the lighter pink that I wanted. And I'll put my wedding photo inspiration up of like what I was going for. The 2 pink colors and the flowers, the green and the grass. Yellow pops just because it was a happy day. And navy, which I did not dye because my vision was to speckle with navy because my husband's suit was navy. And then have some white yarn showing through for my dress. That was a vision. I think it was a lofty goal. I think it was a lofty vision. So these are my first 2 attempts at dyeing variegated. Yeah, so it's very green. It's not as pink as I wanted. So my problems with these after seeing them, I really liked the light pink and then like the really intense dark pink speckles or dark pink spots. I really liked that, but there was too much green and too much yellow. I didn't like how much green yellow there was. So a few days later, I dyed these. I have two here, but one is wet and kind of, one accidentally, I dyed them yesterday and I was hanging them to dry overnight and one fell down and landed in the bucket of water that was collecting the water that was dripping from the skeins. So one is still wet, but I'll show you. So this is the other one. So it's much more pink with only like little pops of green and then just even smaller pops of yellow. Like there was one and there was one right here. And then here is it unskeined and still wet. So yeah, mostly pink with like some spots of the really dark pink and green and splashes, like little splashes of yellow. So the yellow is what I wanted. I really like the yellow. The pink is a little bit too much. Like it's not, there's no white spots really. It's mostly just pink with other speckles. Oh, I just saw our first wasp of the season. It's on my porch currently. Anyway, and the green, the amount of green I really like. However, I think the green broke because, as in split into the colors that made the green. Well, I don't know. I don't know how, but there is purple in here. Okay, here's a good spot. That is purple. Yeah. And there's always purple next to green. See if it focuses. Yep. Here's a really intense purple down here, like in this section. Yeah, look at that purple, like right here. And it's always next to green. So I was like, well, maybe the green broke. I don't know how purple got into here. Oh yeah, that's a good spot too. That's like really purple next to that green. So maybe, I don't know. And I guess there was some purple in this hand dye in my first attempt where there was like too much green. There's some purple there. So I don't know, something broke and is giving me purple. So I don't know what to do. These are all of my attempts. I have no more mini skeins to practice on. So I was really hoping that after this I would feel confident to go and dye my large skeins. But I don't. I don't feel confident. Yeah, so here's my little variegated skeins. So here's my thought, and I need your advice. They're really pretty. So, do I just go for it and use my inspiration from, my wedding photo to dye four 100 grain skeins and just go for it? And what happens? My fear with that, or my worry with that, is that I won't like it. It would be fun to knit up, I think, but I wouldn't enjoy wearing it. And I know this is all for a shawl that I'm dyeing, some type of a shawl wrap. I haven't given too many specifics just in case it changes, and yeah, all for a shawl that I'm designing. I think I may have missaid that, but I haven't given too much information. But I know that when I'm going to be wearing this is a sensitive season in my life, and I want to feel pretty in it. I want to like what I'm putting on. So that it makes me nervous. I think I'd have fun knitting it, but I don't know that I would have fun wearing it. Especially if it comes out like this, like very yellow and green. If it comes out more like this, like maybe. So my other thought is to just save my wedding photo inspiration and dye something smaller quantity with these colors, the wedding photo, and instead just do like a purple, like like 4 purple tonals, and knit my shawl with that. I think I'm leaning towards this because I really do like this purple. It's so springy. It's really beautiful. It's just so pretty. I'm just looking at it in the camera. I'm sorry, I was distracted. And there's less pressure with the tonals. And then save my inspiration for this highly variegated yarn for like a tank top. Something that is still special, but is not as like important that I really love wearing it. Does that make sense? Yeah, so here, these are my 2 top contenders. Give me your thoughts. Do you suggest just going for it? It'll be fun to knit with, and then hopefully because it was fun to knit with, I'll enjoy wearing it during this time in my life. Or do something that might be less fun to knit with because it would be 400 yards, 1,600 yards of this one color, a tonal, so it'll be variation, but I think I would feel really pretty in. I think it would be really pretty to knit with, really pretty to wear, but there's not as much color. So let me know your thoughts. I would highly appreciate it, but very pretty. This would actually look really good together. So yes, I would love to know your thoughts. Please share with me what you would do. But that is it for all of my whips. Oops. It's been super fun to just really stretch my color theory brain and be like, do these go together? And I was so limited with the colors that I was buying that it's been fun and challenging to kind of stretch what I'm learning about color. So it's been a fun challenge. But I don't have any acquisitions for the past 2 weeks. I'm not buying a lot because trying not to buy anything until we go to our anniversary trip, and then hopefully I'll be able to stop by a yarn store where we're going. But yes, that's it. My favorites of the past 2 weeks. My husband and I watched Andor, and it's a Disney show on Disney Plus. It's in the Star Wars world. That was really hard to say. Star Wars. Star Wars world. Now I lost my train of thought. Andor, yeah, so we watched it. It was so good. And then we realized it was a prequel to Rogue One. And then we watched Rogue One. Kind of a sad ending, I guess you could say. But in the big grand scheme of the Star Wars world, got it that time. It didn't feel so sad because you know kind of what happens and you know why certain people don't make it. I don't want to spoil it, but if you haven't seen that, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I didn't grow up watching them. I've started watching them as an adult, and so I'm not as big of a fan as I am, say, Harry Potter in that world, but it was really enjoyable. I really liked it. The storyline is really good. And then the other thing that we watched was Dune Part 2. It came out in theaters recently. My husband read the book, Dune. I don't think he's read any of the other in the series, but he read the first book. We both saw the first movie, and he wanted to see the second one. It wasn't my favorite. It was the, world building and the magnificent cinematography was incredible, but the storyline was pretty dark and pretty hopeless. Yeah, I just can't imagine living in a world like that. Just living without the hope of Jesus is what it comes down to. And it was just so dark and there was no Jesus. I'm not saying every movie needs Jesus. I don't mean that. I just meant it just showed how dark and evil the world can be. And there was no, redemption. in this book. There may be like later in the series, but it just made me thankful for my faith, basically. Yeah, so not my favorite movie, but my husband really liked it. And it was beautifully done, so. But that's it. It was super fun being here today, and I've really been enjoying filming twice a month. I feel like I don't feel as rusty when I come back. Like, oh, I remember how to set up the tripod, and I remember how to start talking and like what I should be writing in my notes. It just feels easier. It feels more natural to like come back twice a month and like every 2 weeks instead of at the end of the month. So hopefully you've been enjoying it too. Please give me your thoughts about what you would do for dyeing the big pile of yarn I have over there. If you do just something you're confident in, the purple you think would be pretty and you like wearing it, or the variegated, just go for it. Do your original vision. Let me know what you would do. So also let me know what you're working on as the weather turns. I've definitely been thinking, like, do I want to do any spring knits, summer knits, like get started on them? But I don't think so yet. I have a tank top that I'm excited to pull back out from last summer, so I'll pull that back out soon. And then, but like I have other smaller garments in mind, but not necessarily with summer yarn so far is what I'm thinking. So let me know if you have been super inspired by any spring summer patterns or yarns, and let me know if you have been itching to cast on the spring knits, because I am loving the weather and loving the early spring. So I'm excited to hear from you in the comments, and I hope you have a great day whenever you're watching, and we will chat very soon. Bye.